This episode may contain content of a graphic nature, including descriptions of physical and sexual violence against adults, children, and animals. Listener discretion is advised. Hi everyone, I'm Talia.
And I'm Tanya.
And together we are Crimes and Consequences, a true crime podcast.
Hi, Talia.
Hi, Tanya.
How are you today?
I'm splendid.
That's good to
Thank
know.
you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to welcome everyone back to another episode of Crimes and Consequences, or maybe
Welcome.
this is your first time watching us on YouTube on the True Crime Daily YouTube channel.
Woo!
But either way,
Welcome. Welcome.
Are you ready
I'm,
for some true
Girl.
crime?
I can never get enough true crime.
Well, this is an older story. You know I love
the old ones.
Yeah, I love the old ones because they're crazy and people do weird shit and it's fascinating.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just like them.
So, have you ever heard of George Haigh?
No.
All right, well, I'm going to tell you all about him.
Is he horrible?
Oh, yeah, he's horrible.
Is this gruesome?
It's a little gruesome, absolutely.
Because
Yes.
we have a gruesome scale.
Yes.
What would it be on our scale?
It's pretty high up there because he's nasty.
8?
Yeah, probably an 8, 8, 9.
8, 9,
Eight-
9.
8.5.
8.5.
8.5.
Okay.
Okay.
And we, in case you guys don't know, we like to drop F-bombs
Mm-hmm.
a lot. And we're not actually that politically correct.
We try, but
We do?
do we?
I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, let's no more
Okay.
chit chat.
So George Haigh, he was born to parents. His dad's name was John Robert, and his mom was Emily. He was born July 24th, 1909,
Okay.
in Stamford, Lincolnshire, England.
Lincolnshire?
I think.
I don't know.
I don't know. You know, we mispronounce everything
That's
as well.
another thing we always do.
It's fine.
It's fun though.
It's fine.
You don't
So-
know how to pronounce it either.
unless you live there. So they had been married for 11 years before John was born, and he was their only child. John's father worked in a coal mine as a foreman, and his mom was a stay-at-home mother and homemaker. John Robert and Emily were members of the Plymouth Brethren, which is a very old school, very conservative, very religious, very anti-modern Protestant religious group.
What the hell is that?
Well,
I got an idea.
yeah, they promoted a very secluded and strict way of life.
Oh, shit.
So John wasn't allowed to socialize with other children his age. The Haigh family did not like the outside world, the modern world. And they,
How modern was it? It's like 1909, for God's sakes.
I know, right? They didn't want the outside world coming in. So they built a 10-foot tall fence all around their home
Oh.
so that nobody could see them and they couldn't see anyone.
Hmm.
So John was confined to the house.
That's
most
like a
of the
prisoner.
time. Yeah, absolutely. And because of this, he taught himself to play the piano. He got pretty good at it. I mean, what else is he going to do? There's
Right.
no TV. I mean, this was over
It's just
100
your
years
mom
ago.
and dad and you?
Yeah, I mean, how
You know,
fun
like a
could it possibly be?
Compound.
Well, yeah, it had to be horrible. Religion, obviously, was the most important thing to the Haigh family. And John's parents often told him religious stories or parables. And if he ever misbehaved, his father would say to him, quote, "Do not grieve the Lord behaving so," end quote. So he's always,
Do not grieve the Lord behaving so? What's that mean?
like, don't do that to upset the Lord.
Oh, okay.
If he ever wanted to go out and try to meet a friend, his dad would say it wouldn't please the Lord. His father had like one of these religious, I'll give you an example. His father had like a blue colored birthmark on his forehead, and it happened to be shaped kind of like a distorted cross. And he told John that he had been branded by Satan as a sort of punishment for his past sins and indiscretions.
I don't even know what to say about that.
He also told his son that if he committed sins, that he was going to be branded, like in the same fashion. So
Oh.
this kept John in line, up to a point. He decided to put this theory of being branded, though, to the test. I mean, he's
Oh.
a kid. He's like, let's see if this really works. So he played pranks on people and he committed minor crimes. And then when he looked in the mirror and saw he wasn't branded,
He's like, hey.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I guess I can do whatever I want and not have any consequences to it. He then noticed that his mother didn't have a mark on her forehead. And when he asked Emily about it, she told him, well, she couldn't be branded because she was an angel.
That was going to say, I would say that. Right? I didn't do anything. I didn't commit a single sin in my life.
Right. So, and guess what happened? John later found out that that blue mark, that distorted cross, was actually caused from a flying piece of coal in the coal mine when his dad was down there working. So
it wasn't from Satan?
No. Oh. Surprise, surprise. It wasn't from Satan. John's father was constantly preoccupied with dying and the afterlife. And he would like beg God to take him. Like he just wanted to go to heaven really bad.
Wait, he hated life?
Yeah,
he just
hated
wanted
life.
to meet God?
He wanted to meet God. He wanted to go to heaven. He considered it a sin to be happy with the world that they were living in. I guess you needed to be miserable in order to earn your spot in heaven. I don't know.
I'm going to end up getting there real quick then.
Regardless, though, of their religious beliefs and John's eventual criminal cases, John was incredibly loved by his parents, and they never like turned their back on him or disowned him, even though I'm going to tell you these horrible, horrible crimes that he did. So
they didn't like whip him in the name of God or anything like that?
No, they didn't abuse him that way, no.
Well, that's good.
So they loved him, and, you know, they had high hopes for him that he would make something of his life.
Oh.
So remember I told you, like, he wasn't allowed to do anything like in the modern world or whatever. He wasn't allowed to take part in any secular activities, and secular is like non-religious.
Like Boy Scouts or whatever they had in 1909 or 1920 or whatever we're at now.
Exactly. He said the best memories of his childhood were when he would go visit his maternal aunt, because when he got out, he could read the newspaper. He was exposed to other things. He loved to see like the comic strip in the newspaper. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it was a thrill, right? I mean,
I liked it when I was young.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the internet.
I know.
There's no Instagram or Facebook.
Exactly. And when he came back home and asked his dad, why don't we get the newspaper? His dad said, oh, you know, it's a thing of the world. It's evil. You know, you need to read your Bible instead. If you've got time to read the newspaper, you have time to read your Bible. And that's really what you should be focusing on.
Okay.
So during his childhood, John got really good at stealing. He had plenty of practice at the local candy shop.
How'd he get out to get candy?
I don't know. Maybe he had to run errands, I'm thinking, for like his parents, and, you know, maybe go to the store. And
he's rebelling.
Yes.
He's tested the sin theory.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
He's passed it.
Yep. And he passed it. And he's not getting caught when he was stealing things at the candy shop. So he's like, oh, I can, you know, he had this attitude like, I can do whatever I want. And he would kind of like, his friends would help him at the candy store too. So like they would distract the shop owner, and he would just steal candy and
co-conspirators.
Yeah, exactly.
The candy shop.
Exactly. So they had this whole like little, you know,
scheme going on.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
to rip off the candy store. And in addition to thievery, John learned how to forge documents.
Whoa.
At an early age. Yeah. He practiced forgery in school.
What?
They
have a class for that?
Yeah. He would write school reports in a school record, like in the headmaster's writing. So he learned the headmaster's writing, and so he faked his grades. I mean,
wow.
I faked my grades too. Way back when.
I don't even know what to say about that. I didn't know.
Handwritten stuff. You could fake it back then.
So disappointed in you, though.
You could fake it a lot easier.
You're so smart. You didn't have bad grades. You fucking had bad grades, and you'd have faked it?
Yes. Geometry?
Oh, you're talking high school.
Yeah, high school. Right, I mean, I didn't have to fake them in college or law
but I didn't do it. I should have.
I faked them in high school, and I did get busted because they would send the report card home, and it would have your last semester's grades on it.
Yeah, and hello,
I got busted.
Tanya.
I'm an idiot. What can I say? I was probably like 15. I mean, you know, I didn't get away with it. So he's practicing forgery. He's got this headmaster's writing under, he's got it down pat. And not surprising, his teachers described him as mischievous. And he did do well in school, but he hated going to school because he hated the idea of having to like put the work in to get the good grades. he just wanted like things to come easy to him. Yeah.
Well, don't we all?
He wanted to cut corners in any way that he possibly could. He finished school at the age of 17, and he became an apprentice to a firm of engineers, and they worked on vehicles. Like, this is when cars, I think, are new. So the engineers would work on the motors and things like that. And John really loved cars, but you know, he loved looking at them and riding in them. But working and getting dirty. Like, he didn't like the oil and the grease that came with the job of working on the engines. So due to this dislike, he chose to wear gloves to avoid getting his hands dirty.
Well, I don't blame him.
Well, he was made fun of. I mean,
because he's wuss.
You know, like real men, you know, get their hands dirty, right? Go home with dirty fingernails. He didn't want any of that shit, right? Okay. He was made fun of, and you know, but that didn't stop him from doing it. But it did cause him to quit that job early in the apprenticeship.
Okay, because he wore gloves and was made fun of.
Yeah, he stayed there about a year. And then he left to take a job selling insurance and advertisements. When he was 21, he was fired. And that's because his boss suspected him of stealing money from the cash box.
Like, which he probably was.
He definitely probably was. And because of that, they had him arrested.
Oh, good.
He was later released and never charged. And he wasn't charged because his father paid the amount that was stolen.
Oh.
Yeah, but
he was a big disappointment to his parents. He's the only child.
Yeah. I mean,
sinning all over the place.
Exactly. I'm sure they were devastated. You know, they just wanted a godly child, right? But regardless, this is when his criminal career began to take off.
Oh.
Because he got away with this. Think of all the stuff he got away with.
He stole candy and now he's stealing money.
Yeah, stealing money, got away with
I'm sure there was many things in between.
Oh, I'm sure.
Still hasn't been branded by Satan.
Nope. Still hasn't been branded by Satan. So he's just going to keep doing it.
Keep going.
Yeah. On July 6, 1934, John got married to a woman named Betty Hammer. She was 21, and I'm guessing he's about 25. And she was described as a good time girl.
What?
Whatever that means.
That's all.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't know her. I don't know.
Yes. His parents obviously disliked her. And John, Robert, and Emily, they did allow Betty and John to live with them, though, when they first got married, even though they really didn't like her. They thought, you know, she's just running around doing whatever. They thought that her religious views were the same as theirs, but they soon found out it was very different. Very, very different. According to the Haighs, Betty lacked both morals and religion. She never had a job, and she stopped going to school when she finished elementary school.
What? Oh, that's
because her plan was just to marry rich.
Oh, well, then why did she marry this guy? Okay.
I don't know. She figured, I don't need an education. I'm going to find a rich man to marry.
Or just a man.
Or just a man, right, to support her. She grew up in a very poverty-stricken, very large family, and both her parents had to work. And, you know, it was uncommon for both parents to work back in the day.
Stay home.
Yeah, they rarely worked out. Women rarely worked outside the home. Neither of John's nor Betty's parents attended their wedding, and the reason behind it was because neither side of the family was even informed that the wedding was going to take place. So no save the dates went out, I guess. John seemed like a very good husband, like to Betty, but that would shortly come to an end. The idea of working under someone of authority really didn't appeal to John much. You know,
where's he working now?
Well, he decided to start his own business.
Oh, okay.
So that way he wouldn't have to work for someone, and he could also do his crime shit because he was...
That's like us.
Yeah, our crime shit.
We do our crime shit, don't have to work for somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
I totally get it. Totally get it.
But this one, he was forging vehicle documentation.
Okay.
So he's putting those skills to work.
Okay, all right.
You know, and he made good money, and Betty loved that. But she later admitted, you know, she had no clue of what he was doing to get that money, like the crime shit, you know. The job he said he was doing, you know, would never make that much money. And I'm not sure exactly what that was. But
about it.
Yeah, she was just clueless. He later said...
She didn't care. Just bring in that paycheck. Bring in the cash.
Exactly. That's all she really cared about. John later said that he didn't marry Betty out of love. He married her because his home life was not something he could tolerate alone anymore.
Oh.
Which is kind of sad. And the consummation of the marriage was what John really looked forward to.
Oh, I'm sure.
Duh, right?
But why didn't he just move out? Why did he have to live with his parents if he didn't stand there? I mean,
right?
he's
That's
like
a good
20-something years old.
I don't know. I
Oh,
don't know how
buddy,
they did
time
it back
to move
then.
out.
I don't know.
Get a job, move out.
Maybe.
Yeah, and he wanted to get laid.
Yes. And he's getting laid in his parents' house, though.
Well, that have you not? Never mind. Don't answer that.
Yeah, I'm not answering that.
Keep going.
So shortly after starting this new business, he was arrested, charged, and sentenced to 15 months in jail. Betty followed him in the patrol car back to the police station when he got arrested. And when she arrived, he was already behind bars. John said to her, "Oh, it's nothing, darling. I've only broken the 11th commandment," which he said was, "Thou shalt not be found out."
I'm sorry, I do like that.
I know. Don't get caught.
Don't get caught. Thou shalt not be found out.
Yeah, thou shalt not be found out. The 11th commandment. He was only in jail for 5 months after getting married. So Betty decided this would be a good time to separate herself from him.
Okay.
And she left.
Because he ain't making no money.
Right. No money's coming in. She's living with these highly religious people, and she's not of the same thing. So she's like, I gotta get out of here. In prison, John seemed to enjoy himself. Yeah, because he was now part of the outside world, something he'd never really been a part of.
Okay. But he's actually, ironically, in an inside world.
I know, right? Inside world in the outside world, right?
So what is that? The upside down? And what is that? What is that?
You know, it just seems odd, but...
Okay.
He worked as a tailor when he was in prison.
Jail?
Yeah.
Prison? He's got to be in jail, right?
Yeah, probably in jail. Yeah. And he would write to his parents about how good he was at being a tailor, and that if he started his own business, he was going to be the best tailor out there. Throughout his adult life, John kept a very superficial relationship with his parents. You know, he kept his distance. I mean, he's doing things that they don't approve of.
Clearly.
Yeah. And he did tell his parents at one point that he did intend to repair his reputation. And, you know, I'm going to get my morals back on track.
Okay.
And,
right.
You know, when I get out of jail.
I've changed. Yeah,
this is all going to change. But as we're soon going to find out, that was bullshit.
And what's the name of this?
Oh, the name of this is the acid bath murderer.
Okay, so he changed.
Oh, yeah. He changed for the worse. Yes. Once he was finally released and he got out due to good behavior, he got out early, John learned that his parents had moved from their city.
And his wife left him.
Oh, fuck. And, you know, originally his parents said, well, we moved because his father had retired from the coal mines, but...
They were embarrassed.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the real reason.
I'm guessing.
Yeah. They got out because they
tarnished their name.
Exactly. You know, they just couldn't stay in that town anymore. He had disgraced them. But he really didn't care. You know, and he really didn't care about Betty leaving him. Because... He didn't care. No, he didn't care about Betty leaving him. But while he was in prison, she gave birth to a baby girl.
Oh.
And she named the baby girl Pauline Mary. After giving birth, though, she stayed with the Haigh family, but struggled to make ends meet. And she eventually put Pauline up for adoption.
All while he was in jail?
All while he was in jail.
For 5 months?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
After hearing about the birth of his daughter, John didn't get that chance to meet Pauline, but he really didn't put any effort into seeing her before she was put up for adoption.
You know, I mean, times have changed. You can't really be married, have a baby, and just
place your child for adoption.
And the husband has no say.
Right.
We've done
adoptions.
We're attorneys. But we won't talk about that.
No. And he actually denied that he was even Pauline's father. So.
Okay, here we go.
Exactly. So maybe he just didn't care. In case you haven't realized it, John's really self-centered.
No.
He's shallow. And after Betty moved out of the Haigh home, John and she only saw each other once, and it was an accident. They ran into each other while they were both just walking down the street, like they ran into.
Awkward. Yeah. Awkward.
John's like, hey, how you doing?
Hey,
and Betty says, you know what, I don't want anything to do with you. Like, leave me alone. So then John went on to insult her by saying that, we were never even legally married. And I have another wife, actually.
What?
Which is bullshit.
What?
But he's trying to say, like, their marriage wasn't valid.
He's just stupid.
And so Betty threw her wedding ring away, but she felt relieved. She was like, good, he's out of my life and whatever. She went on to marry a man named Adam. But she never divorced John.
Officially, but they were never married officially or whatever. Who knows? Whatever.
I mean, it was largely frowned upon back then for a woman to get divorced, and the process was really expensive, so she just never bothered. Her second husband was killed while overseas in World War II.
There's some bad luck.
Yeah, but she got remarried again to a man named Dennis, and I don't know what happened to her.
They lived happily ever after.
Hopefully. Upon his release from jail, John started a dry cleaning business with a friend. His name was Major Plackett.
Like his name was Major?
His name was Major.
Oh.
So Major had defended John during his trial in 1934, and he was friends with John's father.
Like a lawyer defended them?
No, like to other people.
Oh.
Yeah. Since John had a lot of experience working as a tailor while locked up, like I told you, this dry cleaning business.
Perfect.
Yeah, they figured it was going to be a success. And the business did take off. It was booming until Major was killed tragically in a car accident. And John didn't really want to put in the work, right, to run a business. Right. So he shut it down, and Major's widow was given the option, like, well, you can take it and continue on the dry cleaning business. She didn't want to do that. No. I'm sure it was a fuck ton of work. Yeah, I mean, no. So now John's got to figure out how to make some money.
Well, I think he's figured that out already before. Exactly.
So we're going to go to a life of swindling people, right?
Swindler.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a scammer.
Oh, yeah.
Scam artist.
And that time when he was in jail, he got out on good behavior. So he didn't even serve his full sentence. So he's like, I'm just going to start stealing shit and swindling people.
There's no consequences.
Yeah, there's really no consequences.
But there are crimes and consequences.
There are. But, if I go to jail, it's probably not going to be long. I'll just be good and, I'll get out. So he figures there's got to be this easier way.
Yeah.
I don't have to toil away at some office or toil away at my own business.
Work.
Right. So.
Fuck that.
We're going to do this. And he decided he was going to go after older, rich women.
Oh, he's a gigolo.
Yeah. Kind of sort of looks like Clark Gable. Do you know what Clark Gable looks like?
Yeah, he was handsome.
He was handsome. Like, John's kind of like the Wish version of Clark Gable. Or like the dollar store version of Clark Gable. Okay. I mean, you'll see a picture. And all of you will see a picture. Yeah, generic Clark Gable. Like, Clark Gable was much more
non-label.
Handsome. No, but he was kind of like that. Like, he had a mustache and dark hair and sort of. I could see maybe how women would find him attractive. Okay.
Oh, so what are you trying to say?
I'm just saying maybe.
Maybe.
Right? Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Before I tell you more, we're going to take a break. John moved to London in 1936, and he was able to get a job as a chauffeur for a high-rolling amusement park-owning family known as the McSwains. Or McSwans. I'm sorry.
McSwans.
McSwans. And John became close with William McSwan, so their son. The downside, is that he actually had to do work.
Damn it.
I know.
There again.
I know. But he was around rich people. So that was the upside. He was originally employed at the amusement park for a few months in 1937. And while he was employed doing that, like before he started doing the chauffeuring and stuff like that, he was able to persuade William to install jukeboxes in the arcades.
Oh, high technology.
Yeah. And then what they did was they hired a lot of pretty women.
Okay.
To lure young men into the arcade to spend money. Like,
stop. On the jukebox?
Yeah.
Really?
I know. I mean, there's not a lot of entertainment options.
Tough back then. Wow.
I know.
Oh, genius.
Exactly, I guess. So
fucking weird.
Yeah. He was posing, while he's doing this, he's posing as a lawyer.
Posing as a lawyer?
He's got all kinds of shit going.
I do that every day. So do you.
I'm a lawyer in real life.
I am actually a lawyer.
Yes, me too. So he's posing as a lawyer named William Adamson, and he was selling fake stock shares.
Why do lawyers sell stock shares?
What is this? People are so trusting,
okay,
right? You say I'm a lawyer and people trust you. They either think you're like a smarmy asshole.
I don't trust lawyers.
Or they trust you. I don't know.
I don't trust any lawyers.
Well, it's because you know them. You know too many of them. He was caught. Okay, so he's selling these fake stock shares. He got caught because one of his clients noticed that he misspelled Guildford, which is where he said his office was allegedly located. Like on his letterhead, it was misspelled. And that's how he got caught, being a dumbass. Stupid spelling mistake.
That's when people get caught. They open their mouth and they're dumbasses.
You just
shut your mouth.
The smallest little mistake people get caught at.
Right.
I know, and that's a good thing, I guess. So he ended up going to prison for 4 years on
4 years
fraud charges.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And when he got out, it was right at the beginning of World War II. And after his second release in August of 1940, so this is, he had the first jail term, so this is the
5 months, and now he's doing 4 years.
Yeah. And from then on, he realized, like, I don't want
to go back.
I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. Plus, I really don't want to have a legit job. He decides he's going to still do crime, but he's just going to be a lot more careful at it. Okay.
It's got to get better at it.
It's got to get better at it. When he was in prison that time, he spent a lot of time researching and studying a French murderer who got rid of his victims in a really, really gruesome way.
If you say an acid bath.
Yep. He said this is going to make the perfect murder.
Except if he's reading about someone doing that, doesn't it mean that person probably got caught? I'm just pointing that out. Right?
Yeah. You're right. So what he read was, so you dissolve these corpses in acid. That's where you get rid of your witnesses. You get rid of the victim. Whatever.
Sounds so easy.
Sounds so easy. I mean, really? Could it be easy? So he decided to test out. So he's out of prison. He's going to get some acid. He's going to test out how long does it really take to dissolve, not a human being, but what he did was he experimented on mice first.
So he's literally at this time willing and able to kill.
Yes.
As long as he can get away with it.
As long as he can get away with it. I don't think he killed anyone before this. I think really it was just fraud and thievery and, those types property crimes and whatever. So, but
this is quite a jump.
He's going to make quite the jump. He made these test runs. He caught mice. The test results came back and he discovered that acid can make the body of a mouse completely disintegrate in 30 minutes.
Oh.
So there was nothing left once you put a mouse.
But a mouse is very small.
Very small,
it would
right?
take a really long time for a human. I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing based on that math.
Exactly. He has to set up what he's going to do, right? He's got to set up his criminal scheme. So when he gets out of prison, he gets a job, a legit job, as an accountant in an engineering firm.
How's he an accountant?
I don't know. How do people get jobs?
Hey, you just told me you did prison for 4 years.
I know, he's for fraud. Why would you make someone your accountant who went to prison for fraud? Well, they don't know, right? You can't really look anyone up.
And he's also a lawyer, too.
He's a lawyer, yeah. He's a fantastic guy, right? One night after getting out of work, he ran into his old friend, William McSwan. They were shooting shit at the bar. And William brought over his parents, who were Donald and Amy McSwan, and introduced them. William bragged about how great it was, working for his parents as a landlord, because William managed some properties that the McSwans owned, some beautiful properties, all over London.
Because they own an amusement park too, right?
Yeah,
so they got a lot of money.
They got a lot of money. And after hearing this, John's perking up because he's like, oh, they've got some money, right? And he is checking them out, and they're dressed really nice. And he starts to get a little jealous, thinking, they're rich and they have this wonderful lifestyle. After John and William were done catching up at the pub, John invited William into his basement of where he was living. But what William didn't know was that John was about to kill him.
Why they invite, hey, John, you want to come over to my basement?
I know. I don't know what he said to him to entice him to get down there. Because he needs to try out this acid bath, right? He needs to see if it really works. So once John and William were in the basement, John took a lead pipe and he bashed William over the head with it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and once he knew that William was dead, he placed William's dead body into a 45-gallon metal drum that was filled with sulfuric acid.
How do you not, like, I'm just curious. This is going to seem so random, but, like, you're dealing with all this acid. How do you not accidentally, like, burn yourself, too?
I know.
I can't even use bleach.
45 gallons?
I don't know. I can't bleach my clothes without getting, like, bleach, like.
Oh, I know. I have the same problem. Well,
I don't know how to.
I don't know.
Yeah, and isn't that a little suspicious? I just need a whole bunch of acid.
I need 45 gallons of acid. He might have even had more. Who knows? He puts William in the drum.
I always wonder how a drum doesn't dissolve either, but that's a whole other level. That's another question.
That's chemistry, right? I don't know. I never was good at it.
I loved chemistry, but I
don't know. Anyway.
I don't know.
After 2 days, John came back to check on the progress.
Okay.
And when he checked, he saw that William's body was almost fully dissolved. The results now were sufficient enough for John to dump the remains down a manhole. Like, I don't know. I don't want to know what the condition was, but it was enough where they were probably unrecognizable. Yeah. And he could just dump the liquid into the sewer.
Well, how do you even get that? You have 45 gallons. Tanya, how are you moving that? Filled with acid. Explain that to me. That's heavy.
He got a dolly out and he was.
There's acid too, though. With a.
I don't know.
No, there's and
questions. Nobody noticed. Nobody said shit. I mean, it's crazy. I know.
I'll guess there's a will, there's a way.
But he's in London. There should be tons of people around, right? I guess not.
All right.
William's parents now realize that their son is missing. They ran into John, said, "Hey, have you seen William?" Nope. No. He made up some bullshit. And he said, well, William was actually, he took off to Scotland because he's trying to avoid the draft. Because World War II.
That's what John told the parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what John told the McSwans. He said, well, he ran off to Scotland because he's trying to avoid the draft. He doesn't want to get drafted into the army. And so they're like, okay.
And he didn't tell his parents, but he told John.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Yeah. He didn't tell his parents. He just took off. Right. And only told John. At this point, John pretty much takes William's place in the family.
What?
Yeah. What? He began living with Donald and Amy. He worked for them.
What the fuck is that?
Collecting the rents on their properties.
Since Will is gone.
Yeah, we need someone to fill in.
Let me fill in.
And, come on, you can move into our mansion, which I'm sure they had. Once the war was over and William hadn't returned back to his family, this is when Donald and Amy became concerned.
They knew something was fucked up.
Yeah, but I'm surprised, they didn't get a letter.
Right?
Right? You would think, your son would write to them. I don't know.
Use a false name and write a letter. You don't have to say, hey, Will. Yeah.
Right. But anyway, Donald and Amy kept asking about William. John knew, okay, something has to happen. So on July 2nd, 1945, John lured Donald and Amy to the exact same basement where he had lured William. He enticed them by telling them William had returned for a surprise visit and that he was waiting for them in the basement.
Okay.
Don't go to your parents' house.
Makes sense.
You
it
come
makes
home.
Complete fucking sense.
Yeah. Well, they fell for it. They were so excited by the idea of seeing William again. They just followed whatever John wanted them to do.
I'm sure he was good at manipulating. Obviously, he's a scammer.
Yeah. And when they got into the basement, he bludgeoned them to death with the same metal pipe, and he threw their bodies into drums filled with sulfuric acid. But John wasn't finished with the McSwain. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. McSwan. I'm sorry. There's no I in their name.
McSwan.
My bad. He posed as William and forged signatures, which gave him power of attorney to steal the McSwain's. There, I did it again. The McSwan's pension check. Sorry.
Like swans.
I'm sorry, like swans.
Swans.
He then sold their properties for £8,000 sterling, which is the equivalent to a little over $10,000 today.
Oh, that's not that much.
Oh, no, that was a little over $10,000 then. Now, today, it's worth $169,505. So
Okay.
it was
So,
chunk of money.
don't get me wrong. I would like that amount of money, but I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I would think they'd be
Right.
worth more.
This was a lot of money for post-war Britain.
Oh, yeah.
And he used the money to move into the Onslow Court Hotel, which is in South Kensington. I guess this was a really like swanky hotel, like, you know, where rich people all stayed. And he stayed there like as a tenant. So he just kind of moved into a hotel because he had the money to spend. But it only lasted, that money, that $169,000 only lasted him for 2 years until 1947.
He made it last 2 years?
Yeah.
And what did he do with their bodies? Like, how long did what happened? Like, how long?
Well, they dissolved. I don't know how long it took, but it had to have taken just a few days. And he dumped them in the
same way.
sewer.
Same way.
Yeah, what he did with William.
Oh, man. That's so fucking gross.
It's terrible. John had a severe gambling addiction.
No, of course he did.
And that's one of the other reasons why he pissed through that money so fast. And now he needed more money.
Well, what's he going to do?
Well, he decides he's going to get some new victims.
Right, of course.
John met Dr. Archibald Henderson and his wife Rose one day while he was pretending to be interested in the house that they were selling. They have their house up for sale, and he always dressed really nicely. So, of course, they have a beautiful home. He shows up, and he looks like he's a serious buyer for their house. Rose really liked John because he loved classical music. He could play the piano. He probably bullshitted them. They probably had a piano.
He probably
sat down and played the piano for them, and they were just like,
course.
oh, he's a lovely person.
He's a lovely person.
And she invited him to come back to their house to perform at their housewarming party for their, you know, when they sell the house and when they move into their new house. Like, come to our housewarming party, you can play the piano.
Okay.
While he was at their new home, John stole Dr. Henderson's revolver, and he uses it later. Spoiler alert, everyone.
Oh, he's not using it. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
It's not dissolving the body yet. Okay.
Yes. But John decided that his basement now was no place.
No,
yeah. You know,
he still had the basement and had the hotel?
Yeah. And, you know, it kind of reminded me, did you watch Breaking Bad?
Of course.
And they had the whole...
Yeah. Yes, I've seen. Yeah. Yep.
He's like, okay, I can't do this anymore in this basement. So he decided to relocate his murder drums, these metal drums,
gross,
to a small workshop that he rented out. And that was in West Sussex. On February 12th, 1948, John drove Dr. Henderson to his workshop. He told him, I'm working on a new invention and I really want you to see it. So Dr. Henderson's like, sure. They walk into the workshop and John shot Dr. Henderson in the head soon after they entered the workshop. You know, no hesitation. John then called Rose and said, you need to come immediately because your husband, Dr. Henderson's gotten really sick and he needs your help. So Rose rushed over, and when she got into the workshop, he shot her immediately in the head, killing her as well. He then forged their signatures on a letter that gave him power of attorney.
Of course.
He'll forging shit left and right, you know.
I mean,
I know.
Back in the day, this is like, what'd you say, 48?
Yeah, it's probably 1948. Right. Nobody checks. Nobody knows. This allowed him to sell all of their possessions.
Oh.
He got about the same amount of money that he received when he sold the McSwan's property.
Is it really worth putting bodies in acid?
Apparently,
Come on.
Come on, think
man.
This is a lot of work. Is it really that hard to just go to work, go to a job, instead of like killing people and putting them in drums?
And I'm thinking the fumes. I don't know.
Right.
I don't have a lot of sulfuric acid, but I'm just thinking the basement and
I know, right?
Breathing in that in and
seems a lot of work. I guess I don't know. It would. He apparently has no conscience either.
Well, clearly that was established. Where's he swindling women?
Oh, it comes.
All right.
Hold tight. John sold everything but their car and their dog, and he kept those for himself.
Lucky dog.
Yeah. He still loved cars and dogs, and he refused to get dirty. So for each murder he committed, he threw on rubber gloves, a rubber apron, rubber boots, and a gas mask.
Oh,
and he used that when he poured the acid.
Okay, so, okay, yeah.
He was
that
protected.
makes sense. He's got it, too.
Yeah, you were worried about his clothes? He wouldn't mess up his nice clothes. He had this rubber apron, and you can imagine. When you dissolve someone in acid,
yes,
there is an intense heat.
Yeah, that would
right?
make sense.
That's generated by the reaction that human flesh, to acid, and that's what melts the bones.
All right. Did you learn that in chemistry class?
Yeah, sure I did. No, I didn't.
Oh, okay.
So it's just, liquefied.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
He has killed now 5 people, in case you weren't counting. He was just feeling invincible, as you can imagine.
Just feel fucking gross.
Yeah, he got away with
fucking
these.
Gross.
Nobody suspected anything. He's got money. And so he needed to update his acid bath workshop to a full-on warehouse. And this warehouse would be the spot where his 6th and final victim would meet her fate. John was still residing at this hotel, this Onslow Court Hotel. And one of his neighbors was 69-year-old Olive Durand Deacon. She caught his eye. Olive was very wealthy. She was a widow.
That's why she caught his eye.
Yeah, of a big-time lawyer named John Durand Deacon. John needed to create a new facade to get Olive's attention. So he posed as an engineer. He's going to talk himself up and impress her.
Okay.
They spoke for a while about his engineering career before she told him she had an idea to make artificial fingernails. So I'm thinking maybe there were no press-on nails back then.
Oh,
but she had this idea, right?
Oh, wow. Little did she know she'd make a ton of money now.
Mm-hmm. She kind of thought of herself as an inventor, and she was really excited because she thought that John would be able to help her with this new invention, him being an engineer. Right.
Of course. Absolutely.
He's like, oh, absolutely.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Absolutely. I can help you with this new invention. But we have to go back to my warehouse because that's where all the work gets done, right?
Mm-hmm.
John invited Olive over to the new warehouse, and once they were inside, he shot her in the back of the neck with the revolver he had stolen from the Hendersons. John then robbed her of all her jewelry that she had on, and she had a fur coat, before he submerged her body in the drum filled with sulfuric acid. Olive was a well-known person around the hotel, though. So
her disappearance was...
Oh, it was immediately noticed. Like when she didn't show up for breakfast, the other residents...
Where's Olive?
Yeah, where's Olive?
Where the fuck is Olive?
So he ended up making not that they all weren't bad choices. But this one was like somebody actually noticed right away. When her neighbors noticed that she wasn't there, they asked John where she was, and he lied, and he said that him and Olive had plans to meet up later in the day, but she never showed up, and I don't know where.
So was he dating her?
I don't know. It's kind of unclear. Kind of. I think they more had a business relationship. When Olive was still missing the following day, it became obvious that something was seriously wrong. John had to keep to himself from being suspected, so he just acted like a concerned neighbor. He just started asking around too, like, have you heard? Have you heard from Olive? He was asking all the other residents if anybody's heard from her, and he volunteered to even tag along with the police.
Hey, we hear about that all the time. Yeah. Gets himself involved in the investigation. Oh, he's so fucking
exactly.
clever.
But when he got to the station, like the police station, an officer whose name was Sergeant Lambourne, he really got a weird feeling about John.
I bet you get a weird fucking feeling around John.
You got to listen to your intuition.
Guessing.
The next day, Sergeant Lambourne phoned Scotland Yard, like their record office, and he found out all about John's past criminal history. That same day, John made the drive over to the warehouse to empty out Olive's acid drum, because now it's time to... He's got
so fucking gross.
I know. He's got to empty out her melted body. And he kind of fucked up because he poured some of it on the ground outside. It was just kind of messy.
He missed the manhole?
Yeah, he missed the manhole.
He'd have poured some out on the... What? I
know. And
be careful, John.
Be careful, John. Don't mess it up. At this point, too, he hadn't made any money off of Olive's murder yet.
Just a fur coat and some jewelry,
right? Yeah, so he made his way over to a pawn shop to have the jewelry appraised.
Okay.
He made about 110 pounds off of her belongings, which was about $2,300 in our money. When he got back to the hotel, there was a group of officers waiting for him. And,
hey, John.
Yeah, because he, they knew who he was because he had gone to the police station. And John didn't change his story. He told them the exact same story he told the neighbors. Like, we were supposed to meet up. Olive and I had plans, and then she didn't show. And
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't fucking know.
John ended up dumping Olive's remains outside the warehouse because there was no sewage drain or manhole access like the other places where he was. Like, remember I was telling you he was pouring them down the manhole?
But didn't he put Dr. Henderson there?
Yeah, this was that new warehouse. This was brand new. Dr. Henderson.
He didn't think this out very well.
No,
he didn't plan this.
He didn't plan.
What was he thinking here?
Where was he? He just dumped her remains like
on the grass?
On the grass, I guess.
Pavement?
Like out back. Yeah.
Still want to know how he's moving these drums around, but that's fine.
He was forced to dump her remains into a pile of debris right outside the warehouse. So he really didn't do much to hide it.
He don't give a fuck now.
No. And he did tell police officers he was supposed to meet her at the warehouse. So of course they show up.
What is that? That's the stupidest damn thing.
I know. So the cops show up.
Of course they did.
Looking around, like trying to find Olive, their missing widow.
What a dumbass.
And while there, they find the receipt for the fur coat that he pawned, and they found a piece of her foot. They found human body fat that didn't dissolve all the way.
That should dissolve quickly. I mean, I don't understand that, but
you think it would dissolve faster than bones or something? I don't know. And they also found dentures that were confirmed to be Olive's. Upon this discovery, John was immediately arrested.
Those poor police officers. Imagine finding that shit.
Anyway, you know what? They don't pay
enough. They don't pay the officers enough.
They don't pay them enough. No.
Nope.
He pleaded insanity because, it is kind of fucked up to dissolve people's bodies in drums of acid.
But there's a difference between mental illness and crazy. And so he's just crazy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Fucking nuts.
Exactly. He tried to make himself look even crazier by telling investigators that he drank the blood of his victims. And because he said, because I drank the blood, it really kind of just fucked up my brain.
Wait. Well, how'd you get to the point, John, where you're drinking the blood?
I know. And even though he said this, there was never any proof that he actually did it. I'm just letting you all know. I think
it even matters at this point.
He just said it to appear a little more crazy. Just a smidge more, right?
It's like a cherry on top.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that? You clearly
a cherry on top of the crazy Sunday. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
Thank
crazy
you.
Sunday.
The crazy Sunday.
I like that.
He was questioned by Detective Inspector Albert Webb. While he was being questioned, he asked, what are my chances? They're going to send me to the crazy hospital. What are any chances that I'm going to get released?
Well, he should. I mean, he would want the crazy hospital.
Yeah, I would think so, right? Because that's where he'll go instead of prison. So do I have any chance of being released? Was anybody ever released?
No, John, you're not being damn released.
And it was a high security psychiatric hospital. And Inspector Webb told him, I really can't say. And John replied by saying, well, if I told you the truth, you wouldn't believe me. It sounds too fantastic to believe. He then proceeded to confess everything to Detective Inspector
all the other
Webb.
ones.
Yeah. He confessed to killing Olive, William, Donald and Amy McSwan, and to killing the Hendersons. John also elaborated some and told the officers that he killed 3 more people. A little boy named Max.
What?
A little girl who lived in Eastbourne, and a woman who lived in Hammersmith. And although he confessed to these additional 3 murders, none of them have ever been confirmed that he did this.
Why would he kill a kid? How would he benefit from that?
I don't know. Maybe to appear even crazier? More insane? I don't know.
Okay. He didn't. You're thinking he's just making that up.
Yeah, I'm thinking he just made it up because there's no confirmation that he ever did those crimes. His trial began July 19th, 1949, and it finished the next day. It was a quick-ass trial.
I've had motions longer than that.
He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, and he told the court of his vampire-like tendencies, allegedly drinking the blood. He went on to say he definitely had a reason to kill. His childhood dreams were completely controlled by blood. You know, he's just trying to hype up this
it's all
insanity.
a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does he get?
Sorry.
That's okay. Death?
No. The trial's over. It takes the jury 15 minutes to find him guilty. Guilty. And after the verdict was read, the judge asked John, is there anything he wanted to say for himself? He said, no, nothing at all.
I'm good.
He was then sentenced to be executed via hanging.
They should have, yeah.
Yeah, while he was waiting, I know, they should have, right? While he was awaiting his execution in Wandsworth Prison, he thought it would be fun to give the execution a test run. So he asked one of the guards if he could have this trial run to ensure that death would come the day he made it to the gallows, make sure everything would go smoothly. And that was denied.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it was denied. Yeah. In the meantime, he spoke with a newspaper that financed his trial and told them his whole life story. He wrote letters to his girlfriend, because he had a girlfriend at the time, Barbara Stevens, and to his parents, since they didn't come to see him before his hanging.
Well, I'd be...
Yeah.
I'd have mixed feelings if I was them.
Yeah, I know. Before the hanging, he was fitted for a death mask, courtesy of Madame Tussauds.
Oh.
And on August 10th, 1949, the acid bath killer finally paid for his crimes. Yeah. The letter that he wrote to Barbara was found, and it read, I'm going to end our episode with this. Quote, it is difficult to say farewell under these circumstances, but you will understand that you will always be in my thoughts. You know I have been proud of our association. It has always been an honorable one. I shall remember your great kindness and devotion. Now I must leave you. End quote.
Oh, how fucking sweet.
You know, what a bizarre little letter, right?
Barbara would be like, no.
Barbara was probably like, what?
Not. Fuck yeah.
So that's my episode about the acid bath murderer.
It's so gross.
I know.
You hear this, it is gross. I can't even imagine it being real. How gross.
I know those police officers show up and there's goo in the grass.
Okay, stop. Just stop.
Thank you, everyone.
Goo in the grass.
Goo in the grass.
Jack's a human being, and you're being insensitive.
Yeah, we are being insensitive.
But we did warn people we're not all that politically correct. But
right.
It was
it was a tragedy. It's very sad, and he just did it without indiscriminately, and
he's an asshole.
Yeah.
And we hate him. Put him on the
Absolutely.
I hate him list.
Well, thanks to Leah.
Well, thanks, Tanya.
And thank everyone for listening and watching.
Yes.
On our True Crime Daily YouTube channel.
I got way too excited with that.
If you would like to hear more episodes, we do offer a free weekly episode, but we also have one that we release to our Patreon members, and also
these are
Apple.
audio.
Oh, yes. They're audio. On our Apple Podcast channel.
Can you say that?
Mm-hmm.
You can advertise?
Yeah, I think so.
Apple?
Yeah. Why not?
I don't know. Is that...
We're telling you where you can listen. You can subscribe on the Apple Podcast channel. You can subscribe at patreon.com/TNTcrimes. We release one additional episode a week. So if you can't get enough of us, you can check us out. And those are not released to the public for free.
Yeah.
But these are.
And they're ad-free? Yeah. And we let Android people and Samsung people or whatever.
Whatever phone you have.
It's not exclusive.
Our website is crimesandconsequences.com. You can go there. And I think that's everything.
That's good enough for me.
Right. Until our next episode.
Like us, right? Follow us.
Yeah. Like and subscribe, please.
True Crime Daily on YouTube and like us.
Please.
Tell your friends and family. Tell your neighbors.
Yeah, sorry. I forgot that part. Until our next episode.
Don't kill each other.
Bye.
Bye.